This is Art Sense, a podcast focused on educating and informing listeners about the past, present, and future of art. I'm Craig Gould. As a midweek bonus for listeners, we have a recording of my panel discussion from NFT.NYC 2023 titled Art, Bridging the Digital and the Physical. I served as the moderator of the panel and was joined by Luli Sulichin, who is a conceptual visual artist whose practice focuses on physical artwork while incorporating the benefits of Web3, and Luca Bertolani, who is the co-founder of Aesthetes, a European-based Web3 company providing solutions for artists looking to enter the growing space of phygitals. The conversation provides a variety of perspectives about the convergence of the digital and physical art worlds. And now, a conversation about bridging the divide at NFT.NYC. Guys, I'm Craig Gould, and I'm kind of the ad hoc moderator participant of this group. The working title of this conversation is Art Bridging the Digital and Physical. And I'm afraid that Max Walker Williams isn't with us, but who's our fourth?
Nina is.
All right, and very opinionated?
Extremely opinionated. Extremely opinionated.
And who is Nina's favorite artist?
I would have to say me, but again, she's partial to it. Right. My name is Luli Sulichin. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for having us. And I'm a visual artist based in Miami, but going back and forth from New York. I work a lot on thematics of the intersection between the physical and the digital, hence the title of this very apt panel.
Sure. And Luca.
Okay, hello to everyone. I'm Luca Bertolani. I'm the co-founder of Aesthetes. We are an Italian-based startup based in Milan. We have a marketplace where we release phygital NFTs. NFTs linked at the same time to a digital artwork, but also a physical one. That's why, in our view, we try to merge physical and digital. That's why we are talking here today together.
Sure. And so, as a matter of introduction, I'm Craig Gould. I'm the head of content and partnerships at a company called Canvia. We are a digital art frame. We have been in business for more than 5 years, shipping digital art frames that allow you to have a world of art on your wall, right? And so, going back 2 years, we've had MetaMask integration where you can sync your wallet, see thumbnails, point, click, and see your NFTs right on your wall, set up playlists, have access to a broad catalog of artworks. The other role that I have is I am the host of a podcast called Art Sense. And about 100 episodes in, I talk to folks from all corners of the art world, particularly the traditional art world. I talk to blue chip artists, gallerists, collectors, critics, the director of the Met, Jerry Saltz, Shepard Fairey. I talk to a lot of people, and unlike a lot of art world podcasts, I also give a lot of attention to Web3, right? So talking to traditional artists that are entering Web3, talking to Web3 artists that are growing their following within Web3, but also looking at, again, bridging back and forth, right? And so, I feel like, in particular here, we are kind of looking at, for the traditional artists that is wanting to take advantage of this unique time and opportunity, why should the traditional artists be looking at finding a way to have a presence in Web3 and digital?
I think like Andrea was mentioning in the previous panel, curious artists are interested in exploring new materials, right? And NFTs are a new medium. They're a new material. And if you're a creative type, then it's fun to explore new things, right? That's what we do. I think NFTs allow us to transcend physicality, which is kind of mind-blowing, which is what abstract artists have been trying to do for, decades and decades. And it allows us also to connect with global audiences in a way that, as also was mentioned in the previous panel, he was saying that he couldn't collect art because his apartment was small and he was moving all the time, right? So like the physicality of art was kind of a burden, and being able to have a collection of digital artwork is kind of like light and sprite and very, very interesting for collectors as well.
So Luca, when you talk,
I totally agree,
Yeah.
and I think also that physical fine artists could approach the NFT also like a tool. I mean, of course, everyone now is joining the NFT world in order to create something new, maybe a digital version of a physical one, or a new digital artwork. But I think also that blockchain through the NFT let also physical artists to track their physical artwork. I remember once we bought from a very famous auction houses, I don't tell you the name, but it's really very famous, based in Paris, an impressionism paint. And there was written, together there was the certificate. They shipped me in Milan an impressionism fine artwork, and they sent me also the certificate. It was just a paper, a sheet, written with a sign. Everyone, of course, I bought directly from them, so I know that is true. By the way, it was just a sheet signed, nothing more.
But for issues of provenance and traceability, it's a fantastic tool.
It's really, really dangerous, because, of course, now I have this paper. I could lose it. Something could happen with it. So maybe we think that using also the blockchain through the NFT to certificate the origin and the steps that a physical artwork made passing through a customer, through another collector, will help to preserve also the value of the physical one in the future. And we notice also that working with several young artists, lots of emerging artists want, maybe of course currently they are not so famous, but they want to use this new tool in order to certificate and give to their artworks the immortality, because a blockchain let us to give the immortality to something physical.
Sure. And so, there's long been a problem in the traditional art world about provenance, right? So when we say provenance, we mean, chain of ownership. How can you prove that what you say you have really is what you say it is? And, NFTs and the blockchain provide a logical next step. But there's also, the traditional art world loves to live in a world of opacity, right? Because a lot of people have built walls around their part of the art world by only knowing things that not everybody else knows. And some people who are brokers and dealers, they're going to lose their place in the art world if all of a sudden all the information is accessible, right? But provenance is still a big issue. And so recently I was speaking on my podcast with Bernardine Brocker-Veder, who is the head of a new company called Arcule. And Arcule was formed by a collaboration between Luma Foundation and the folks behind Art Basel. And they are creating work, the ability to have certificates of authenticity, provenance, everything on the blockchain, but it's not the blockchains that we are talking about here. It's a proprietary blockchain. How do you guys feel about having all of the majority of the functionality, but maybe not the open concept that we think of in the scope of a Web3 conference like this?
Well, I'm kind of anti-Web3 establishment in this because I don't love the transparency. I mean, I like my privacy. I'm a private person. When I buy something online with my credit card, the shop that I'm shopping at doesn't know how much money I have in my bank account, right? It's a one-way transaction. I don't love the two-way street that Web3 proposes. So in that sense, I feel like a lot of the traditional collectors or kind of like the status quo will be more in sync with doing something that's a little bit more opaque, that you can have the authenticity and the transaction verification without having this like open, you can see everything that's in my wallet. And I think that's going to be, we kind of have to adapt to the reality of the market as it is to try to broaden it.
Yeah, sort of every steps between the full transparency and the full opacity that currently we have, I think, is a good
happy medium.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. And so how do you guys think? What is your impression of the term NFT? You know, and do you think it will survive when we talk about using this technology in the art world?
We are not going to be using this terminology at all. I mean, I have two daughters, a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they cringe when I use words like metaverse and NFT. Like, those are not the words that are gonna kind of live on. But the functionality, the functionality is there, and we're gonna continue to use that. We're just not gonna term it NFT.
Yeah, probably we will continue to use the tool that NFT give us, improving it, probably without using the word NFT. Because they will be integrated in a broader infrastructure, in a broader technology. Of course, now we are working with the first step. But of course, there is building, everyone here is trying to build a broader ecosystem. So probably we will use the name of the broader ecosystem instead of the single brick.
No, and as owning digital assets becomes something that's more commonly used, the ownership terminology is not going to matter. We're just going to be used to owning digital assets the same way as we own physical assets. Sure.
And I mean, I feel like the terminology is going to become more in line with maybe how we think traditionally in terms. And I feel like part of your product offering is already aligned that way, where it's, it's probably getting communicated to the buyer as a digital certificate of authenticity, right? And that digital certificate of authenticity includes an image of the real world piece that they bought, right?
Exactly.
Right. And so there are other companies that are currently, again, on my podcast recently, I spoke with Robert Norton of Verisart. They have been doing certificates of authenticity with folks like Shepard Fairey for a number of years, which, Shepard Fairey is a great name for somebody in terms of this bridging the digital and physical, someone who's long done a lot of work in street art, physical art, prints, editions, NFTs, and there's someone that is able to kind of transition. Yesterday, I went down to Pace Gallery for a talk with Tyler Hobbs and Ariel Hudes, who have both been on the podcast. And the episode of Tyler Hobbs is going to be this Tuesday. Again, they were mentioning earlier about Tyler Hobbs' QQL, and the interesting thing about that. There's a lot of great psychology and gamification in terms of the collector being involved in creating the pieces, and that provides those collectors a lot of ownership. The particular a show that he has going on at Pace is where he used his own algorithm, the QQL, to design a series of images that he then created physical work from. And he then wound up using plotters and computer-controlled instruments to help him execute it. But in the end, he took what was intended for the digital in this Web3 space and created physical versions for the gallery world. And so there's, again, where we're having that, that back and forth. What other opportunities?
I think it's the people that recognize that it's still just one world. We have the digital and the physical component, but we do still live in just the one world. So the people that can bridge that and can transition and use the tools that are available both in the physical and to broaden their community and to use more tools that are available, digital mediums, are the people that are going to be the true change makers and that can see that potential of bridging.
Sure. And again, going back to Pace Verso, who I think is doing an amazing job of bridging the traditional and digital art worlds. One of the ethoses for Ariel there is that there are certain artists in Pace's traditional art world blue chip roster whose work is really only accessible to museums and the folks that would have like the major installation in the foyer of a Park Avenue building, right? But folks like Random International or John Gerard, in the ability to create a digital edition, an NFT of something like that in conjunction with OG, like Daniil Kreveruchko and OG Art, they're able to provide collectors access to people that are to works that would otherwise be inaccessible even for folks on the
There's like a democratization of
Right.
of that art, right?
Right.
And also fractionalization tools where you can own a little piece of a major work, it provides a greater accessibility. And I think inclusivity and accessibility are major themes that are going on in Web3 and that are attracting a lot of people into the space.
Sure. So, Luca, do you have something?
No, I agree. I think that Web3 breaks down lots of barriers. For example, you mentioned about fractionalization. We know that the financial barriers is one of the main barriers in the physical fine art. Owning just a single NFT of a broader artworks let you to join this industry without investing, for example, spending too much money, for example. Or, like you mentioned at the beginning, with few clicks, the Web3 let you to transfer, to trade your ownership. And of course, if you have a physical artwork, you have to contact an auction house. They will take on the sale a huge amount of a percentage. With the Web3, with few clicks and generally a lower percentage kept by the marketplace, let you to also to trade. So you can invest, enter in this market, wait few minutes, few hours, few years, it's up to you, and then to trade. Of course, if you want to do something similar in just the physical world, it's not everyone could do it. But in the digital, in the phygital, in the Web3, everyone could start.
There's lower barriers to entry.
Yeah, of course. Financial, but also, as you mentioned at the beginning, the physical fine art, there is a lot of opacity around the physical fine art. So a lot of trades, people are not aware about it. If you create something on the Web3, of course, maybe there is too much transparency. By the way, everyone could see it and maybe start a new business, start to invest, start to just to collect. In the physical fine art, most of time, ordinary people could not do it.
So, what do you guys see on the horizon? In this bridging of the digital and physical. What, if you're looking into your crystal ball.
I'm really pumped. We were at Gagosian yesterday, and we saw a show by Bennett Miller, who's a filmmaker, and he did an entire gallery show of kind of documentary-style photography that was completely AI generated, of people that didn't exist, right? So it's just wild. It's so much fun. I'm painting in VR, which is like super sculptural. I think for artists,
if they were to give us another half hour, we could start to scratch away at AI. I feel like it's something that we could talk about for
endlessly.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities, but there's so many things that people are threatened by and scared of. But
it all kind of just like converges at the intersection of Web3, right? We have all these separate tools, and Web3 is where they're meeting. And it's an interesting space to be a part of.
What do you see on the horizon?
I think that for a physical fine art perspective, the Web3 will enhance the relationship between the physical artist and his community or her community. Because essentially it allows to put, of course, now we are talking about the traceability or a digital replica of the physical artwork. But the artist can insert in the NFT also the invitation for an event, for a private sales. So he can or she can recognize further rights in the future. So I think we will move in this direction, strengthening the connection between the physical artist and his or her digital community.
Great. Well, we have just a couple of minutes. I don't know if we've...
Does anyone have any questions or topics that you want us to address? Let us know, and we'll be happy to answer them.
I actually want to just bring in something. I heard you talk about transparency. Ethereum is about transactions, so there are other platforms which can give you that transparency or translucency, which means we know it's happening, that it's visible, but only to those who need it. So
Absolutely.
we can look, because obviously as an artist, you want to make money, but you don't want everybody to know your income. That should become something.
Absolutely. And I think blockchain is going to revolutionize record keeping in general, to how we have our school transcripts, to our medical records, to the title of our cars and our houses, to the transactions in the art market as well. And non-art market also. So there's this differentiation between blockchain and crypto and just the record keeping aspect that the technology offers.
That's us.
Sure. I know that, personally, I've always been a big advocate of a blockchain called Hedera, who does a lot of, enterprise blockchain transactions at a fraction of a cent, because, that way it becomes affordable for, the state of New York to issue all the driver's licenses, on the blockchain, and so, yeah, it's, not every blockchain is created equally, and those that are, affordable will be able to, include the enterprise. But going back to your point there, I think in particular, Arcule being a blockchain by the art world, for the art world, their premise is that, things are opaque until the person that needs the transparency there's a need to know basis, and when you need to know, the information is available and verifiable. And for some people, that may make them uncomfortable, but for others, that's going to give them a more secure feeling that not everything is out there and just readily available. One more?
Perhaps you answered this question. I came late. In the physical artwork, if we take, for instance, paintings, we know that some of them ascend to a stardom level, and they become very appreciated and very valuable. And somebody owns it and hangs it to the wall. For the digital artwork, do you see a similar process? Could you elaborate your view?
Absolutely. I think, so far what we've seen in the market are computer-generated, very like graphic design type of products that are one of 10,000. What we're beginning to see now is the emergence of a true contemporary and fine art market on the blockchain, right? So we're seeing editions of one. And whoever owns that, and artists, there's always some sort of speculation in the art market because we don't decide what becomes super famous and what stays in obscurity. But the collector that can recognize an artist that's making a difference or someone that's really, kind of tapping into the zeitgeist and owns that work, their work is going to be worth a ton. And then how they display it is a different issue. Whether you have it in a Canva in your house, or you show it on a projector, or you have it in your wallet or in storage, the same way as traditional art market. The majority of the art owned by museums, I think only 10 or 15% of a museum's collection is actually on display. The rest is in storage. The same with collectors. So there's a differentiation between the display aspect of the digital work and the ownership. And the ownership is, where you'll make the money if you're a collector. And
I add just one thing. In the digital world, everything is fastest. Yeah. So we will see the growth of new artists every day. In the physical world, everything is slower. That's it.
I think we're out of time.
One more question? Okay, We're out of town, but we'll be here so you can
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That's all the time we have for this week. You've been listening to ArtSense. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe. And while you're there, please rate the show and leave a quick review. Your feedback is the key to other folks finding us. And if you'd like to see images related to the conversation, read the transcript, and find other bonus features, you can go to cambia.art and click on the podcast tab. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can email me at craig@cambia.art. Thanks for listening.